StorMagic, brief introduction from myself and who's going to be presenting today. So we've got Mark, who is running a few minutes behind. He's joining the call at the moment, who's our Director of Technical Services, who will be running you through the presentation itself, talking over our solutions and providing a demo of SvHCI. We've also got Rumen, who's our Director of Product Management. So he's the guy that's leading the development of SvHCI and other StorMagic products. And then myself, I'm the business account representative that looks after the Europe East as a whole. So yeah, a little sort of small rundown of agenda, what we've got going on today. So SvSAN, basically, it's our bread and butter product. It's a lightweight, cost-effective virtual SAN solution that provides high availability and simple storage management for edge computing and small data environments. So small data environments and edge is the key here today. So we're going to talk a lot about edge locations and how StorMagic fits, maybe not on the data center, but on edge locations where maybe there's not an on-site IT presence. Very much you need a stable solution that stays up, but does not have a on-site presence. And then, of course, SvHCI, hyperconverged infrastructure that combines compute, storage, and virtualization into a simple, cost-effective platform for edge and small edge environments. Again, small edge locations, no on-site IT, and maybe under 50 virtual machines per site. Reliability, of course, where does StorMagic fit? So yeah, remote offices, branch, edge locations, remote sites, small to mid-sized data centers. We do have data center deployments. Rumen could probably talk a little bit more into those, but yeah, very much a out of the data center and into the edge. And then, of course, our customers. So we've got many around the world, a lot of very big recognizable names here. The NHS being one, it's a very big one. NASA, very interestingly, we have a deployment where the little helicopter that was on Mars that flew for the first time the other year, that was developed on StorMagic solutions. So very good. And we've got Mark joining in. Mark, do you want to, or Rumen, do you want to sort of talk a little bit more into the customers that we've got? Oh, Mark's there. He's coming.
Recording in progress.
Hey, everybody. Certainly. So when it comes to the different customers, I mean, we've got thousands of customers worldwide, spread across different and various industries, and the main kind of use case that we cover is edge computing, retail office, branch office, as well as small and medium business type customers. We also have larger enterprise accounts, what we call enterprise edge. And you can see we've got, we cover customers globally in industries from retail and hospitality, all the way to energy and utilities and travel and transportation, as well as government.
Yeah, and that's it. And so although we talk about us being an edge and small data center company, we have some very big brands here, some very big enterprise brands. And the reason being, although we're not hugely fit for the data center, we suit enterprise locations because a lot of these large companies have many small branch locations. So you're talking retail, hospitality, manufacturing. They're companies that are large, but they're very diverse. They have a lot of different sites. So we suit a very wide range, really, of customers.
And I would say that customers really go for our solutions and choose StorMagic because of the lower costs, simplicity of our products, and exactly, also the reliability.
Yeah, I'd say so. And Mark's just joined. Mark would probably agree, I would have thought. Mark, you're on mute.
I was about to say, trying to find that trusty mute button. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's my biggest thing is it's not so much vertical specific as it is the underlying infrastructure that enables these environments to run. We're talking critical environments from airports to 911 call centers, and we get to retail, which is obviously our big one when it comes to the number of disparate locations that those environments have. It's a cost to the business. It's a cost to the business and a cost to the brand if they're not then able to serve their customers, to serve their use case. So yeah, really, really important stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, just finalize our maybe one final thought around our customer base with SvSAN, our software-defined storage solution. We've been on the market for 15 plus years. We've got thousands of customers around the globe, and slightly 50,000 plus of implementations.
It's not a lot to support, is it, everyone?
It's a good amount.
You've got a nice support slide in here as well from you guys, don't you? Between you and Neil, I think. So I can pick up my support.
It's coming.
I can pick up my support.
There is a dedicated slide on 24/7 Platinum support. Yeah.
It's not me. It's all those guys. They do good work, and they, of course. Forgive me, Neil. Obviously, I'm hopping in. Hand over to me when you're ready, but you continue on if you wish.
Yeah, I think we're good to go. So the next slide is sort of an introduction into SvSAN, Edge Control, and SvHCI. I've given everyone a little bit of an overview of what we do, but maybe it's time now, if I go to the next slide for you, Mark, to go into a little bit more detail on each of these.
Very nice too. Okay, so I like a puzzle piece for sure as well. So Ruben already referenced this to a certain extent. Okay, SvSAN as our storage solution is effectively a storage cluster. Okay, and it's been out there for 10, 15 years in these edge locations, being the wait for it, key piece of the puzzle that has enabled all of that resiliency and high availability in these edge locations. Without that shared storage, without that storage duplication, without that robustness to be able to handle controllers hanging up, drive failures, network issues, all these different things that happen out there at the edge when we're talking some systems under somebody's desk, you need that reliability. You need that robust solution that's been hardened over all those years. And SvSAN is just that. And the powerful thing that offers is that flexibility to sit on any hardware platform and effectively to sit on a good majority of the hypervisors that are out there as a storage solution. So VMware, Hyper-V, 2025 just come out. I had a couple of customers over the last few days deploying this on 2025. Where they are, wait for it, looking for VMware alternatives and utilizing SvSAN and Microsoft to be able to get there. But also then, one of the other big names that's on everybody's lips is Proxmox. And Proxmox, the standard is then 3-node to be able to do a 2-node with their witness device, with our witness device to again provide that sort of resilient cluster. Becomes a very powerful, flexible, robust story. However, what we did when certain market changes happened was to effectively add some bells and whistles, some nice things to SvSAN to make it more feature-rich, more functional, and to effectively become a full hyperconverged stack in the form of SvHCI. And we'll be able to dig into that shortly. Now, we've got each of those pieces, forgive my fake background, but what then ties all of that together is edge control. And again, the term that sort of comes up on everybody's lips from a marketing perspective is, my largest SvSAN use case is 6,000 2-node clusters. That's 12,000 plus servers, 12,000 nodes. How do you manage that? How do you see? How do you get notified with that set and forget solution? What is going on in that environment? And that's where edge control comes in. Because with those systems, there ain't no way that you can check on and stroke and monitor like you would a big data center solution, have a team of people dedicated. There's 6,000 of them out there. They need to be set and forget. They need to be, in a nice special way, a bit like myself, a bit boring, just work. Okay. And that's where edge control comes in to be able to, give you that visual, give you that visualization of those environments, from profile drift and notifications as to when there's potentially an issue out there in one of your environments. Hey, I'm in an error state. I've got a storage failed. I've had a critical storage failure with one of these systems. Edge control is what's going to tie those things together with SvSAN and soon to be then with SvHCI as well. Next slide, please. So this is SvSAN, and this is our sort of niche, I guess, that we've done very, very well with over the years. And what we're effectively talking about with SvSAN is a storage controller virtual machine. We've virtualized a SAN operating system, StorMagic OS, with our then proprietary storage application contained within it. And what we're effectively shipping is a VIA, is an OVA that sits out there on a platform and provides then enables shared storage. Now, again, for those that are familiar with virtualization, to do live migration, to do failover, to do all of those things, you need then the shared storage of those for those virtual machines to then run on. That's what SvSAN is doing. We effectively go, here you go, VMware, here's 20 terabytes, here's 200 terabytes of NVMe, here's 500 terabytes of hybrid for like some virtualized Ocularis video streaming, video management solution for a hospital, and 1,000 IP cameras and all of those kind of things. We're not application specific. We're not hardware specific. We're not even hypervisor specific. It's that flexibility to be able to sit there in those environments and run on a HPE Electra Apollo all the way down to as small as like a Simply NUC box to enable those sort of virtualized environments. So it's effectively an architecture of eliminate any single point of failure. You want to, again, with those edge environments, be able to tolerate, I referenced storage failure, control failure, NIC failure, node failure, clustered down because of an environment power failure. A lot of our use cases is things like gas stations where the whole thing comes down, up and down, up and down, but there's a hurricane rolling through in the US, for example. You need to know that your data is solid, good, protected, and that this system, per that boring piece, self-recovers without manual intervention. That's what it's all about. Okay. Now, with the airports and things like that, they'll do stretched as well, which is quite nice to be able to stretch it across an airport, get it onto different power rings, sprinkler systems, building resiliency across a campus, for example. Centralized management within VMware, we tie very closely into vCenter, but obviously we've now got edge control to be separated and agnostic from vCenter as well. There's a witness piece that provides the core enterprise-grade data protection. The clustering that is the magic, the IP behind StorMagic software, is that clustering and is our witness communication, which is effectively a run anywhere, run over everything, shareable 1 to 1,000 plus, run in the cloud, run behind network address translation, run anywhere. Okay, one witness to 1,000 plus remote locations. It's just a flexible, lightweight witness that could run on-prem on anything, but typically will run up in the cloud when it comes to those robo configuration. And again, just to reference it, SvHCI uses that exact same clustering that we've been hardening over the last 10 years. And for anybody that's dealt with things like Windows Server failover clustering, or a tweak here or a tweak there between versions and stuff, and the whole thing either way, this clustering is rock solid. So we do handle all of those failure scenarios as well. But I was just referencing that cluster down and that good stuff without any issues. Optional caching, optional data at rest encryption as well, to further enable hybrid environments, performance, large capacity, and obviously then secure environments with that encryption as well. And thank you, Neil. Next slide. And that's pretty much just about what I've already got to talk about. There we go. Just emphasizes what I was saying there, really. The reason that we get away with it with SvSAN from a hardware perspective is because the legwork from our hardware compatibility list test stuff has all been done underneath us by the virtualization platform and by the hardware vendors and things like that. Okay. With SvHCI, you'll see we do have an HCL. And in all honesty, we've included, every driver and sort of firmware out of the standard distributions into that StorMagic OS, such that 99% of the time you stick on a system, it's going to work. But we do have that HCL. And anything off HCL is effectively best effort support, just as an FYI. But yeah, mix and match any storage type, flexibility. So build the system appropriate to the requirement. Do you need NVMe? Is hybrid good enough? Actually, you just need high capacity video storage, for example. Pick your pick. Why not even cram it all in the same chassis if you can? 200 terabytes of spinners, say 10 terabytes of NVMe with a couple of RAID 1 NVMe's, 7.68, whatever they are, and you've got a powerful system in a very small footprint. cost savings, resilient, no single point of failure, etc., etc. Onwards, please, Neil. So again, talking to that flexibility play, this is just about the sort of different topologies that we see out there. Okay. Now, I would actually profess, and Neil, keep me honest here, but 80%-ish with the density that you can get in 2 nodes, when with a couple of DL360s, I can build 50 terabytes of flash easy. And then the AMD stuff terrifies me, like dual socket 128 core, all these different, 2 node is more than powerful enough for the environments that I sit in, or that we typically sit in. From a performance perspective, 100,000 IOPS per node, it's again more than enough for the typical requirements of the use cases that we sit in.
Exactly that.
Yeah, I agree. Perfect.
I would say probably even more of our deployments are 2 node over 3 node, and I think maybe even the reason why people come to us with a 3 node minimum requirement is because they're still stuck with the VMware way of thinking, where you can only get hyperconvergence with a minimum of 3 nodes, and it's just not the case anymore. Of course, we have a witness that's very small.
I was about to say that's our little fiddle, though, isn't it? Sometimes we say, "Oh, we're 2 node, and sometimes we go, "Oh, we are 3," because the witness is the piece. You remove the separate node, but you still get that robustness, that enterprise grade protection that witness is a node, and the flexibility of that witness. So that 2 node is not a true 2 node. The witness is what's actually keeping you safe. It's your life jacket that keeps the belt and braces up and running enough.
Yeah, and it's not as big as the others, so it doesn't need to be a full-fledged compute server node. It can be a Raspberry Pi if you want it to be. It doesn't need to be a very big. It doesn't need to be a very power hogging huge server. It can be. We have deployments on a Raspberry Pi for our witness.
Chewing on it to the front of the server, right now.
Exactly. Yeah.
Joys of the edge. Unfortunately, sometimes that is the sort of thing that I see. The edge is not the data center. It really isn't. Nice raised floor and access controlled and everything else in a data center. The edge is, as I say, a bit of chewing gum and sticky tape sometimes.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, so as we've referenced, what you can do then with SvSAN is 3 node, and obviously you can also share that storage out. So as an example, the VMS use case that I referenced, that hospital with those 1,000 IP cameras that are streaming video in, the Ocularis VMs are sitting on this Electra. That storage is actually shared out to other virtualized hosts, systems, blades, whatever they might be. And that's completely free, by the way, to make that video available to other VMs and other systems within the requirement. Okay, so really, really powerful stuff. And again, we just license the capacity. We manage and mirror. It's a capacity-based license. So a cost-effective solution to ignore then, well, you've got 2 sockets, you've got too many cores. I can't switch off those cores, but you need to do a minimum of 16 cores, or all of the other stuff that's going on. Don't worry about any of that. It's just a straight, flat, capacity-based license. Nice and simple.
Yeah. Okay, so Mark, I don't know, the next slide is going into a demo, so I don't know if you want to share your screen and take control from me.
For that, I'd have to be in control, Neil, but I will give it a go. Okay, in just a second. Should have had all this opened up, but let's see what we can do quickly. Phil, for 30 seconds for me, Neil, while I just open up some systems, and then I'll share it.
Okay, so yeah, we could go a bit more into the old VMware way of thinking. And Rumen, actually, let's just double check. Do we have any questions, comments? Rumen, were you checking the chat? Have we got any?
Indeed, yeah. So I don't see any questions for participants. We welcome anybody on the call. If you have any questions on anything that we've talked about or any of the content that we covered, please feel free to ask those questions. And after the SvSAN demo, we will cover our SvHCI product in a couple of slides. So we will talk about our full stack x86 server virtualization platform, okay, which is a kind of a direct competitor in certain segments for competing against VMware vSphere and VMware vSAN. And we will cover pricing and packaging about SvHCI, and we'll also get a chance to take a look at our new asset, which is an online TCO savings calculator where users can go online and they can compare the total cost of ownership, okay, between StorMagic solutions and VMware alternatives, okay? And that is all based on the kind of latest available pricing, okay? So we've got a number of things in store for you. So yeah, Mark, a quick, 4 or 5 minute demo would be great.
I can certainly do that, Ruben. Thank you. How's the resolution, if I may ask? Do I need to zoom in a little bit? Does that look very small?
I think you want to zoom in a little bit, yeah, if you can.
Yeah, no problem at all. That's actually fine. How's that?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so this is a sort of typical Robo VMware SvSAN environment. Okay, so fundamentally, I'm looking at a concept of a centralized vCenter. And then if I just minimize some of this stuff down, think of it as my 10 remote sites, be they distribution centers, offices, clusters in an airport, I don't know, pick your poison, whatever use case it is that we're then sort of looking at. Now, we can see that alongside that vCenter, we also have a plugin, okay? Now, that plugin runs as a separate virtual machine, talking to vCenter. It's all VMware certified, and we run through all that certification stuff to be a, TAP, super elite, whatever we are, partner. And you can see here then what this is enabling is the sort of provisioning and deployment of these clusters. Okay, so deploying a VM, a storage controller VSA, out onto those hosts. Okay, and fundamentally, this is me. This is my SvSAN VM, and we can see that on here I get a nice console view. It is a closed appliance model. Okay, that is extremely important when it comes to the edge, because I don't want some store manager able to log in here and put his custom stuff on it or break anything or product break it. And I certainly don't want anybody as a bad actor coming in and hacking this thing apart and getting inside it and locking and ransomwaring my data, for example. Okay. So closed appliance, and being an appliance, it's a throwaway appliance. So for example, one of my sort of fairly common occurrences is, one of my servers is blown up. My hardware vendor sent me a new one or a motherboard replacement or something similar. I need to do a re-provision. So, take that server down, stick a new one in, break, remirror, hey, I'm back into my nice 2-node high availability cluster thing as well. So throwaway appliance, we can delete them, we can bin them off, redeploy them really quick. And I think it's about 150 megabytes of data that this thing is that it then pushes out. So again, if you're pushing out to Mexico or Wuhan, China, or wherever that you're remotely connected to, again, it's not then 8 gigabytes of data that you're pushing over the wire to be able to stick a sort of Ubuntu distro, for example. Now, we can see our hosts, all fairly straightforward stuff. We can see our VMware disks, and we can see my StorMagic disk. So fundamentally, what we're talking about is a block iSCSI synchronous mirror with a path to each side. So one fails, it's just an NPIO path failover to the other side in the mirror. Okay. So deploying those things out, it's all really straightforward. It's wizard-based. It's storage provisioning with a created data store. We've got YouTube videos, getting those things set up quick and easy. And from an ongoing sort of monitoring perspective there within vCenter, we get this nice dashboard view to be able to then sort of see the entirety of the estate. Forgive me if I flip back. This plugin view just gives visibility into everything beneath that data center object. That becomes important. So you scale that to 6,000 Robo clusters with linked vCenters and all of those kind of things, like one of my larger use cases. Obviously, to be able to granularly step through and just see the cluster that you're looking at rather than 6,000 clusters becomes, really valuable. But you get this sort of en masse view where you can do various filtering based on health status and license keys, and obviously then a smart upgrade as well. So Friday, 10 o'clock at night, I want to upgrade sites 1 through 10, maybe 1 through 9 complete successfully. 10, we give you a report that says, I didn't do that one because it's in a storage failed state. You need to go and do the hardware. I'm not touching that one. It would have been a disruptive upgrade, smart upgrade. So each VSA has a console view. You can also then log directly onto the node itself. Think of this akin to your ESXi host client, where you can get visibility into storage stats, and the data stores in question and so on. So you can see this is chuntering away, doing some copy data there on it. And I referenced then just quickly Edge Control as a centralized management platform. Now, this is all sort of role-based access control and multi-factor authentication. So bear with me while I just bring up my trust authenticator. Edge Control. I've done with it. There you go. One. Let's see. So looking 1, 5, merge, sorry, 4, 9, 5. I'm a pro at this presenting stuff now. Right, authenticate. So within here then, as I referenced earlier, what I want this sort of architecture to be is dull. I just want it to work. I want it to sit out there and keep my stuff running. That's what it's all about. And this is then giving you the visualization tool set and notifications to, as I referenced, then, track that uptime, track any creep that I have in my estate around support types, licensing, firmware versions that I have deployed, and obviously then status as well. So these guys are all nice and healthy, but say I have one in an error state and I can force it if we want to, this will then switch over to an error, and all of these little widgets are then click-throughs as such that we can come to a tabulated view. We can select one of these guys and we can get a nice little sort of draw thing come across from the right with a bunch of information in it and be able to do some basic configuration stuff as well. So Edge Control providing then, as I say, various user access, role-based access control, where we can specify an admin modifier or view and give reps overview environment to SvSAN, and obviously, imminently coming then SvHCI as well. Neil, anything else that you wanted to cover as a demo? That was a quick overview, but I can go deeper.
No, I think it was, very quick overview is good for SvSAN as a refresher. Maybe if we move on to SvHCI, there's a couple of questions as well that we want to ask the general attendees.
The slides, you want to share your screen one more time?
Yes, sir. Bear with me. Let me.
Okay, nice. I can see that.
Okay.
Onwards and upwards.
So, as you navigate to the SvHCI slides, I think that there is a question on the Q&A board. The question is, StorMagic SvHCI, does it support 3 to 4 node cluster, or is it still limited to 2 nodes? So in these initial versions of our full stack x86 server virtualization platform, we support 1 node deployments and 2 node HA highly available cluster deployments. But of course, we do have plans to increase that going forward in the future. But for now, we are basically limited to 2 nodes.
So the architecture enables, or will enable in the future, the ability to, change some of the modules. It's a modularized stack, such that it would be able to do beyond the 2, exactly as we were referenced. So it'll be able to do compute nodes and be able to then scale out to however many you like, as far as maximums and limitations and stuff allow. My one comment is we will be most likely staying with a 2-way replication factor 2 with whatever we scale out to. Okay. So things are a lot more complicated when you start doing multiple copies of data. Again, it becomes an edge solution, or are you looking to a data center solution? Most of our customers are an edge solution, and kind of whenever we have these conversations, they go, I want the ability to go to 3. Are you going to do 3? No, I'm not paying that price. I want 2, but I want the ability to go to 3. So it's almost they don't want to feel like they're locked in. So absolutely, SvHCI, exactly as we were referenced today, 2 node, but fully modifiable to be able to go to a multi-node architecture in the future. So again, we've left it up, I suppose. The big thing was obviously the reasons behind why we made this change. Now, Broadcom have come in and turned the world upside down, and everybody's effectively weighing up their options. And we had a number of our customers come to us with our proven SvSAN technology and basically go, hey, can you help? We love your stuff. We love how, resilient and robust it is. Is there any way that you can help us out in the hypervisor space as well? Can you own more of that step? And actually, again, just to emphasize, this ain't new. This was something that we had sort of concepted 5-6 years ago now, pre-COVID, I think it was. And we actually chose not to release and productize, okay, because VMware was so respected and so well known in the market. Yeah. Now, however, obviously, customers have come back, they're in this situation, ask can we help? And that's exactly what we're looking to do effectively. So I guess that what that is about is all of that piece of proven technology. This is, not something that we pulled off the shelf. It's not just open source. It is all of those things tied in together, proprietary and some open source, wrapped up into that nice bow to be able to provide them, that simple solution that you need when you're going to scale out to thousands and be able to support it with a small team effectively. So exactly as it references here, then, we're effectively talking about management, hypervisor virtualization, virtual networking. We state SvSAN, it's our storage application. The powerful thing about SvSAN is versus a Nutanix Acropolis, where it's a CVM, a whole virtual machine, similar to my VMware model with SvSAN on top of a hypervisor. SvHCI is the two pieces side by side, the hypervisor and the storage application side by side in that stack, a la VMware vSAN versus a Nutanix and a kind of virtual machine. So powerful storage. Onwards, please, Neil. Okay, again, I've preempted myself quite royally. Tried and tested storage virtualization, and again, what we're talking about is rather than just running on top of something else, it is our StorMagic OS rather than running in that virtual machine, running direct on the server hardware. Okay. Onwards, please, let's skip ahead if I may. While we're just pulling that slide forward, what I'll reference is that when I say that we've integrated some open source with our own IP, we are using, for everybody's transparency and visibility, KEMU, KVM, and Open vSwitch on the virtual networking side. So as you'll see when we get to the demo, it's what I would describe as a VMware-like networking experience. It's very easy to pick up and consume and build your virtual networks and build your port groups and your VLAN tags and your micro-segmentation to be able to support multiple networks and things out of the box.
Indeed, Mark. What I'd like to add here is that the whole thing is delivered by StorMagic, supported by StorMagic, and is a very robust platform, dependable, reliable, robust platform for customers to run and deploy virtual machines. Okay, so we provide the necessary virtual network management. We provide the compute virtualization, the virtual networking necessary to configure those virtual machines, and also the software-defined storage layer, all packaged into one binary, okay, which is deployed in a single installer type experience. And customers can run up to and deploy up to 25 virtual machines. Okay, in these, version 1.2 and version 1.3. So we've already shipped 2 software releases of this particular infrastructure product, and users can run up to 25 HA protected VMs per 2-node cluster.
Onwards, Neil, forgive me, I'm still seeing full stack virtualization. Could you skip ahead? Thank you, sir. So as I was referencing then, it's this replication factor 2, the synchronous mirror of that storage. You can come along and zero those, have just a full stripe if it's just node resiliency you're looking for. You can also then do disk resiliency through hardware RAID or software RAID. And when I was referencing about how small and lightweight this thing can go, things like systems that just have a couple of disks, a couple of drives inside them, think a simple NUC with a couple of M2 adapters, we can then collapse everything onto those 2 drives, make them resilient with software RAID 1, and have the hypervisor, the VMs, everything else running on just those 2 disks. So you still get that internal resiliency, and your node resiliency in something as small as a system with just the two lists. Obviously, as I referenced then, stretch cluster support, because again, why not? We inherit it from SvSAN, and it gives you that ability to have them, in different rooms for fire resiliency or something similar, or power rings, things like that. Same witness, and of course, then inheriting a bunch of the stuff from SvSAN, the clustering, the witness technology, the optional SSD caching, the optional data cluster encryption, and flexibility is what we're all about. Simple software solutions, flexibility. Onwards, Neil. Thank you, sir. So Ruben alluded to this already around the question of multi-node. Today, with what we have, we've referenced 25 VMs. Absolutely, we are working hard on, adding functionality and, expanding those limits. There's going to be 50 VMs. It'll get to 100 VMs. It'll be able to go multi-node. It'll add snapshot. It'll add, and an iterative process as we continue to develop the solution. As we referenced, we've already done 2 releases since this thing was GA. We're moving quickly, but again, we don't want to compromise on the, software solution, the resiliency of it. I'm having conversations with customers with POC with the 300 site, POC with the 6,000 site, POC with the list just goes on. Okay. Now, we've also done it that you can buy purely a single node. Okay. Now, the concept there is for a customer that just wants a supported virtualization solution. Think they were using a VMware free, it's gone away, or something similar. They just want something that can never go high availability. They just want somebody that they can get on the phone if they need to with a supported platform as a low-cost entry point into some virtualization. That's that single node. And then also, as Ruben referenced, you can start with a single node and non-disruptively add a node in. So if you just left arrow for me, there's something equivalent arrow. Right arrow, there you go. Effectively, you could, for example, as a use case, put something out there, have all the VMs there doing their stuff, add a node in later on, and make them resilient, do that live migrate. And of course, then to that effect, I think if it's the next slide, Neil, is it going to talk about, there you go. When it comes to maintenance, obviously all about this stuff, you can hear my comments about node replacement, motherboard replacement, things like that. If you right arrow for me, live migrate the node, down it, and applying a new firmware update to your hardware, to SvHCI, to whatever it might be, take it out of the cluster entirely and add a new node in if you were doing a staggered hardware swap, for example. Again, if you right arrow for me, bring that new node in, and of course then live migrate across, and you're ready to do the other system as well if you chose to. Okay, so it's all about that uptime. It's all about the operational piece of making this simple, and of course then automatable as well, that you'd be able to do those operations at scale. So I'm referencing there 300 sites. I come to the end of my hardware lease agreement or something similar, and I need to move to, from a Gen 9, because I've left my hardware out there for 7 years or something, up to a Gen 11 from HP, like staggered hardware swap. And off you go, off to the races, job done. Okay, so really powerful stuff there. Onwards, please, Neil. So again, this kind of talks to the topology, and again, our sort of legacy from SvSAN. So as referenced here, I'm showing a RAID 5 with boot and capacity all on the one thing. Could be a RAID 5, could be a software RAID 1, could be anything you like with regards to those disks. But we can also do then separate boot storage. Think Dell BOSS adapters, think NS204s, or something similar as well. There is an element within the technology called change block tracking. Okay, so obviously, say I've got 200 terabytes of VM data on my storage. I don't want to, if I crash and my cluster goes down or a node goes up and down every time, have to copy across 200 terabytes of data for my data integrity piece. It would just be massive overhead on the guests, time consuming, and a massive time window where I wouldn't be resilient. The way that we do that is this concept of journaling, change block tracking. So it's just a quick resync of the changed IO. So when you're doing the maintenance pieces on that previous slide, unless you fully take a node out of the cluster, most operations are going to be just that quick resync, such that your VMs in production are at least impacted and able to do what they want to do. I referenced about the closed model already. Less attack surface. That's the key piece there. The closed it is, there's less ability to, prod and poke and break things, but also then, less risk when it comes to edge locations of ransomware or some bad software getting in there and making you a little more dependent on a backup and a restore and anything else. And being an on-prem solution, obviously it's not then constantly cloud connected, hard cloud connect requirement, diagnostic log bundles, events and alerting. So I've got military use cases, I've got use cases out there on ships, think like systems in a backpack, for example, when some guy with some of those thinking that boxes, it can be anything you like. So, there's all sorts of weird and wonderful ones out there that we get a bit of visibility into, which is quite nice. Onwards, please, Neil. Hey, there we go. And obviously, again, saying about the world being turned upside down, everybody's looking at their different options, and be it open source, I can come up with my own, I can do that stuff, or referencing some of the others that aren't able to provide then follow the sun, round the clock support, etc., etc. We have been, for those 50,000 plus licenses, providing that enterprise grade support. And by the way, per those statements on the right, the team get fantastic feedback, and they are a solution support, not just an SvSAN support. Just last night, for example, I was there working with a customer whose controller was locking up. Oh, that's a StorMagic issue because it's our software that's sitting on that storage controller. The whole server locks up. You look at the console, the time would be 10 minutes ago. Like, that's not right. Why is this thing not responding as 10 minutes later and the whole thing's just hung? Yeah, we would never come along and just walk away. It's either provide the evidence to enable the customer to go to a hardware partner or somebody else, or we're there coming along and delivering on that solution support. So 24/7 enterprise grade technology, and the support to be able to back it up with some fantastic ratings and fantastic feedback. And what we introduced recently is a G2 reviews that we've been getting some great comments on as well, by the way. So thank you for all of those. As always, really appreciate it from my team, for sure. Sorry, Ruben, you came off mute. Did you want to add anything? Do you want to take a snapshot?
Yeah, Mark, what I intend to do is I want to cover the next couple of slides, maybe the next 3 or 4, 5 slides. We're going to talk about SvHCI 2.0, which is the next. So if we take a step back, I mentioned earlier that we currently delivered and shipped, and we have generally available 2 versions of StorMagic SvHCI. That is SvHCI 1.2 and SvHCI 1.3. 1.3 is the latest generally available version of the software. We also have.
Mark, you might want to mute yourself. There's a bit of feedback.
Please.
Sorry, my apologies.
In December, we also announced the next version, or pre-announced, SvHCI 2.0, and there is a number of high impact and valuable capabilities that are going to be, we're going to be part of the scope of that particular release. And one of them is virtual machine snapshots. So with 2.0, there's going to be VM snapshots available. Users will be able to take a point in time of the guest operating system, capturing the VM disk state and the virtual machine configuration settings, delivering a crash consistent point in time record. Now, these snapshots, I'm sure everybody on the call is familiar that snapshots are used together with, of course, traditional backup products for to deliver basically the data protection strategy for users. So virtual machine snapshots, they're mainly for short-term the ability to revert back to a particular point in time and recover from things like, and restore from issues related to corrupted data, maybe mitigate a ransom attack, anything that requires a quick recovery to a particular point in time. Now, backup, of course, is used for long-term retention and is stored, usually stored in a kind of backup storage, which is offsite. Now, when you take a look at some of the snapshot features, it's going to be manual snapshots of HA and non-HA protected VMs. We use the copy and write mechanism for space efficiency. And the things that, like I mentioned before, we capture the virtual machine contents along with the virtual machine configuration settings. So if you have to revert back to a particular point in time, it's the entire disk state plus the virtual machine configuration. We support up to 16 snapshots per virtual machine. In the future, we most likely will be increasing that to 32. And VMware vSphere virtual machine snapshots, they go up to 32 in terms of the depth of the hierarchy tree. And with StorMagic virtual machine snapshots, you can also do nearly instant snapshot creation and rollback restore. Neil, next slide, please. In addition, we're announcing Edge Control version 1.3 as part of that general new product announcement. This is our centralized management layer. Mark, when he was introducing the StorMagic product portfolio, talked about Edge Control. So Edge Control is an existing solution. It is a software as a service type application that we host in the cloud. Customers access it through a browser, and it allows users to basically monitor the health status and do certain operations on existing SvSAN systems. With Edge Control 1.3, we're actually delivering integration and support for the SvHCI product. Okay, so now users can use Edge Control to monitor and manage SvHCI systems, as well as view VM visibility and some operations and controls. Next slide, please. All right. So when speaking with, especially very closely tied to the topic of this particular presentation and session, is virtual machine import. Okay, so a number of our users have told us the economics around StorMagic products really make sense for them, especially compared to VMware alternatives. The big question is, once customers make the decision to purchase and deploy StorMagic virtualization, the question is, how can we help them in a simple and automated fashion import virtual machines from their existing virtual, VMware vSphere infrastructure over to SvHCI environments. And so in SvHCI 2.0 timeframe, we'll be coming out with a key piece of functionality called virtual machine import. It is, in essence, an independent software utility that's going to provide users a very seamless, guided wizard-based import process that simplifies, or I would say drastically simplifies, the import operations of VMware VMs. It's going to come with a command line interface. It will be well documented, and it will allow users to connect to their VMware through VMware vCenter server. Okay, connect to their VMware environment, choose a particular ESXi host with certain virtual machines, check for import readiness, and if everything's okay, import that over to SvHCI. So this is something that we hope will help users make that decision to transition over StorMagic that much easier. Next slide, please. In terms of pricing and packaging, SvHCI is available as a subscription-only software license. We've chosen, in my view, a fairly simple and straightforward pricing structure with only 2 licensing metrics. We have 1 virtualization SKU per host, plus 1 storage, plus storage capacity per host. What does this mean? If users want to purchase StorMagic and want to virtualize a 2-node cluster, they would need to purchase 2 SKUs, 2 virtualization SKUs, 1 for each host. Then choose the storage capacity, whether it's going to be 2, 6, 12, 24, 48, or limited terabytes. Select the number of licenses, all right? And then in terms of the subscription term duration, we support anywhere between 1, 3, and 5 years. And of course, apart from these, the product portfolio that you saw earlier, there are 2 add-on capabilities that we monetize separately, and they're separate add-ons. These are data encryption for encrypting data at rest, as well as predictive storage caching for improving I/O read-write cache performance. Next slide, please. Okay, and in terms of the VMware savings calculator, very quickly, what I wanted to add is this is a brand new asset available online that allows users to compare the cost and pricing between StorMagic software and VMware alternatives. This is the so-called savings calculator. It is already available on our website, so users can access it and really compare apples to apples, what it would cost in terms of licensing and total cost of ownership across a particular time period if they go with StorMagic or if they choose, compared to VMware. The link is available right here at the bottom, and I'll go ahead and demo that right after Mark does the general demo of the actual software. Next slide, please, which I think is the last slide of our of this particular session and our content. So we're very happy to announce the SvHCI beta program. Okay, the SvHCI 2.0 beta program, and the main focus of that is for users to download and try a version, beta version of the software before GA, that they can test the virtual machine snapshots. Okay, customers have been asking for VM snapshots, even before we came out with, we were doing, beta sessions with version 1.0, and we're, very glad that, this is going to be coming out very soon. The applications for the beta program are available. So the link you would see right here at the bottom. It is stormagic.com/beta. Very, couple of questions, couple of pieces of data that you need to fill out. And once the software is available, we hope and expect in February timeframe, we will circle back and users will be able to download the software, try it out in a non-production type environment. So with that, I think it concludes our presentation. So Mark, over to you for the demo, and then hopefully we get to try out the savings calculator.
Thank you, Rumen.
Okay, apologies. I was trying to have my systems there ready. My apologies, Ruben. I didn't mean to be quite so heavy-handed down the mic. Sorry to interrupt you. Right, let me grab the screen share.
It's all yours.
Just do a quick SvHCI overview. Okay, Neil, can you confirm you can see that okay?
Yeah, it's all there.
Fantastic stuff. So the demo systems that I have here, I'm trying to emphasize a little bit of the lightweight nature of what we're doing. These are what are called some edgeline systems. There was a stage with HP, they were moonshot. They're like little cartridge type things. They're literally about yay big for each of them.
Mark, can you zoom in a little bit?
My resolution is fantastic and my monitor is huge.
Yeah.
Right. Is that a little bit better, Neil?
Yeah, it's a lot better. Cheers. It's not just for me.
Yeah, no, you're good. So you can see there, it's a little lightweight system, 8-core, 16-thread, Intel CPU. What have I got? Some 64 gig of memory in each node. So 232s, these are really small. I have got smaller systems in the form of simply NUCs, but these are some nice ones to hand for a demo. I get dual port 10 gig, and I get then a 512 gig boot disk, and then 2 4 terabyte NVMEs in these systems. Okay. So what I did in order to install SvHCI to these systems, of course, it's all fully documented. There's YouTube videos and everything else as well. And the software is available on the website for the trial. But I come up to my ILO, my iDRAC, my XCC. I mount up the downloaded SvHCI ISO, much like an ESXi ISO. I mount it up and I run through a very basic installation wizard. Okay, so I'm assigning an IP address, I'm choosing what disks I'm installing to, setting default gateways and VLAN tags and things like that. And after that's installed, I get something that, wait for it, looks extraordinarily similar to my VSAVM. It's the same StorMagic OS with effectively a different personality. It's doing different things, be it our witness appliance, be it the VSA, or be it then an SvHCI node that you can see here. So again, saying about Edge, the ability through these things to do some basic network troubleshooting with some ping tests, modify network interfaces, all of that good stuff, rather than being there going, oh, I'm going to do net plan this and bond, oh no, that's broken. Where's my packet loss? Oh, I'm getting these dupe packets. Who knows? Yeah. This nice and straightforward, get it set up, and you've got the graphical tools to be able to do what you need, such that your admin team can then actually, run and support the thing. And once again, then, if we connect up to that web interface, I've effectively licensed the box. I've got an SvHCI key on here. We can see that I've got different features listed against it. Under that system tab, I can see the dual boot nature of this appliance, i.e., an upgrade is effectively just an image push and a reboot. That upgrade image is about 100 megabytes, about 100, 150 megabytes that gets pushed out for any sort of firmware upgrades that then happen in the future. And obviously, again, referencing enterprise, you could, for example, back out. You could revert back that upgrade. If you need a backout mechanism for whatever internal policies you have, you can revert as well. Something that's nothing like so straightforward when it comes to things like standard distributions and the open source approach to this stuff, focusing on that enterprise grade. Okay. Under our networking, as I referenced, it's creating a vSwitch, it's creating a port group, it's our interfaces then for that synchronization and such to be able to go over. So, and then from a port group perspective, I referenced before, VLAN tagging, as it were, microsegmentation, or VLAN 201. It's something imaginative and call it VLAN 201, and obviously that's then available on both of those systems. VMs can attach to it and then live migrate across and do whatever they're doing. Under my discovery tab, and I'm aware that we're at time, so I will be really quick. We can see our cluster, we can see our 2 nodes, and we can see our same witness that we use for StorMagic, because it's a StorMagic cluster. This thing being hardened over the last 10 years plus, so you can trust it to do what it needs to do and to protect your data. And then from a virtual machines perspective, uploading disk images, be they imported across from a VMware, you can upload into that. You can pull a VMDK, convert a VMDK, and upload it in to migrate across right now. And I've been through that with customers with Windows 2016, with Linux, with Windows 2022, etc. Or of course, then you can provision out your virtual machines, and those virtual machines able to use various bits of virtual hardware, add your different disks, your different NICs, multiple disks. And of course, live migrate those. Live migrate those VMs between the systems as well. If I just kick that one off, we get a nice little visual as that VM, shifts across from node 2 to node 1 to be able to do some maintenance on node 2, for example. And again, referencing about edge control, even without edge control, these guys have various bits of alerting and notification technology in them, from SNMP to email to syslog, to be able to get those events off box, so that nobody can come in and clear your events if they've done something slightly suspicious. Or of course, they again get notified if a system's had a storage failure or something similar, and you do a bit more investigation. So yeah, SvHCI, really straightforward stuff. Available on the website via stormagic.com/trial. As I try and be nice and gentle, and of course then fully documented in our online manual and support portal to be able to deploy and install this thing fairly hands off, but know that it is a supported trial. So if you did want to engage our team, we're always happy to hop on a call, run through the workflow with you, and handhold through it. We always get a bit lonely, it's nice to have a bit of a chat with someone. So happy to spend the time there, as well as there's everything from ISO install, even USB install if you're creating a USB installer. And as I referenced then, let's go this one here. This is on some beefier DL systems for that install workflow, where you're effectively specifying your install disk and your which NICs and what IPs you're using and so on and so forth. Okay. Yeah, should be nice and consumable, but we're here to help and always love a chat. All yours, Neil.
Okay, Rumen, we've got time. Maybe you want to demo the TCO calculator?
Yeah, certainly. Let me just grab the screen share, and we can go through one example here. Okay. just a quick confirmation if you can see my screen.
Yeah. So.
Most excellent. All right. So let me just try to zoom in a little bit. So in terms of the VMware savings calculator, it is available at stormagic.com/VMware-savings-calculator. And what that allows us to do is do an apples-to-apples comparison, especially as part of the decision-making process in terms of purchasing solutions from StorMagic. This is a very useful tool. So whether user is considering purchasing SvHCI or SvSAN, basically you can use the TCO calculator in order to do and basically compare both solutions to VMware alternatives. Since the main focus of today's session was StorMagic SvHCI, let's use that as an example. Where will you be deploying the StorMagic software? We say that it's going to be in the EU. How many server clusters are you deploying? So let's imagine that the user is a retail operation that has 3 sites. Okay, so I want to install a 2-node HA highly available cluster. Okay, in each of those sites. So we're going to say we're going to deploy 3, like we want to purchase licensing for 3 clusters. Then in terms of hardware, are you deploying your new servers or existing ones? Well, with StorMagic, users don't have to purchase new hardware. Some of our competitors require the purchasing of new hardware, maybe even dedicated appliances. That's not the case with us. As long as your particular service systems are on our hardware compatibility list, that hardware can be reused, and you can, wipe off and basically install StorMagic on top. So in this particular case, we deploy new servers. No power profile of the existing server, let's just say medium. The question about this is that we also, as part of the total cost of ownership, we take these readily available kind of standard numbers for power consumption. So at the end, the output will be not only the licensing piece, but also what would be the carbon footprint and also the potential electricity power prices over the particular life cycle. All right, in terms of software, now let's just say we want to take 2 terabytes, license 2 terabytes of StorMagic SvHCI storage in each of these clusters. The subscription term can be 1 year, 3 year, or 5 years. For this particular example, let's use a 3-year subscription period. In terms of features, we can add, as part of the pricing and packaging slide, I talked about that data encryption and predictive storage caching are separately monetizable. In this particular case, yes, I'd like to add, the user would like to add encryption, but we imagine that in this particular case, the retail applications aren't, necessarily performance heavy. So we're going to skip on, adding predictive storage caching. And when I click next, then this gives me the opportunity to select the particular VMware products that I want to compare against. Now, since we're talking about StorMagic SvHCI, which is a complete virtualization platform that comes not only with compute virtualization, but also with the software-defined storage layer that then allows, live migration and allows the synchronization of storage and also high availability of virtual machines, then in that case, in order for us to be accurate in our comparison, we have to choose a VMware vSphere solution, which also basically allows for the for VMware vSAN. And there's literally 3 products that you can add vSAN on top of. So you've got VMware vSphere Foundation, which is a standalone VMware vSphere offering. Okay, addition of the vSphere platform. So that allows users to add vSAN storage. Then there is the Foundation Edge product, right? That users can add additional terabytes or TB of vSAN storage, and also the large bundle, enterprise bundle, which is the VMware Cloud Foundation, that also comes with a VMware vSAN, and users can add additional storage on top of that. Okay, so let's go with VMware vSphere Foundation with vSAN, which is mainly where we see our users at the moment. In terms of the specifications of the actual hardware servers, these are, what we input here is very important because, as you might, as I'm sure that everybody on this call is aware, VMware license their compute VMware vSphere, so their compute virtualization based on the number of cores per CPU. So we imagine that each of these servers for this retail customer is going to have, I don't know, a single socket, and it's going to have 16 cores. Okay, so then when we click results, it's going to basically give us a comparison for that 3-year period between StorMagic SvHCI and VMware vSphere with vSAN. You can see the total software license cost over the license term, the electricity costs. So the electricity costs here, there is a difference since we assume basically a VMware vSphere and vSAN cluster with 3 nodes, which is kind of the minimum requirement. And then you can also see the total cost of ownership visualized, and also the respective total carbon emissions.
I'm all for a bit of green there, Ruben. I like some power savings and some carbon footprint savings. I'm all for that with what we do.
Yep. I mean, this, of course, can just very quickly, that same example. If I go with SvHCI, Europe, deploying a new service, no, 2 terabytes, 3 years, but let's just say encryption I'm going to include. But if we, for example, are trying to license more powerful server machinery, then let's do another example. Instead of a single socket server, we go with a 2-socket server with 16 cores each. So now the end user will need to license 32 cores per virtualized host. So let's see what that happens to the actual results. So as you can see, then the difference, the delta difference between the licensing costs over the license term, the 3 years, over that subscription term, is now beginning to increase. So the more the powerful hardware,
that's significant, Ruben. I'm not saying that's not beginning. Fair enough.
That is a very significant difference. So we urge users to examine, take a look before making purchasing decisions. As you speak with our sales teams, feel free to leverage this existing tool and basically discover what are the potential savings that users can benefit from with going with StorMagic.
And it's of course just not licensing costs that you're saving on here. You're saving 33% on your hardware because you're going down from maybe a 3-node, even more different compute nodes down into 2. So it's not just licensing costs you've got to save on. It's hardware, warranty, electricity.
Power because of that. Power because of that as well.
Yeah.
And again, you're making those 2 systems denser without any additional increase in cost. So I mean, again, with AMD, you're getting like 32, 64 core CPUs on a socket. It becomes a very compelling figure delta.
As technology goes on, it becomes more viable to go down to 2 nodes because you everything, like you say, Mark, everything's crammed down into a smaller package. So
more with less, my friend. I get that quite
exactly.
a lot.
Okay, so shall I share the last couple of slides that
So we're at the end of our presentation.
I think so.
We've got a summary slide, and then we can hand it over back to Julia.
Yeah. Okay, so as the basic StorMagic difference. We've basically just got next steps now, so we're at the end. We've got obviously the beta program, which Rumen and Mark touched upon earlier. Feel free to sign up and join. I think, as you said, Rumen licenses are available at the start of February for 2.0.
Well, we're expecting that we're going to reach beta milestone some point in time in mid-February. So once we have the beta version of the software available, we're gonna anybody that's interested and applies, we'll review their application and send them over the link to the bits.
Just to emphasize, this thing's GA. This slide kind of implies that like SvHCI is only in beta. The beta would be for 2.0 and snapshot. Just to be clear, 1.3 is live there on the website. Trial, please put it out there into production. I have many POCs going on with it as we speak.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yes, this is for SvHCI 2.0, correct.
Okay, I think that's all of it from us, Julia. If you want to hand over back to you.
Hello, thank you. Very interesting presentation and conversation that you had in here. I'm sure the audience benefited a lot from it. And as mentioned previously, this webinar is being recorded. And if you want to revise some things, go back and check in. So you will be able to see that on Hermitage Solutions YouTube channel. I believe there might come more questions. I just posted our email address, info@hermitagesolutions.lt. You can contact us and we will make sure that StorMagic will answer those later on. And as for now, I think this is it. Thank you for StorMagic team. It was great. Thank you for the great audience. And I hope to see you anytime soon.
Thank you, Julia. Thank you,
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.